Okay, good evening, guys. We have a simple question here that I want you people to be abrieved of it. After teaching my first lesson on control accounts, I want you to solve this question so that you'll be familiar with it. On 1st January 2014, the purchases ledger control account of Asempa Enterprise showed a credit balance of 13,845 and a debit balance of 950. On the same date, the sales ledger controller account showed a debit balance of 9,460. Transactions during the month of January 2014 were as follows. We have credit purchases with an amount of 65,200. We have credit sales with an amount of 97,340. We have cash purchases which has 16,425. We have cash sales 15,230. So let me mention the items that will go into the control account. Credit purchases will go to the credit side of the purchases ledger control account. Credit sales will go to the debit side of the sales ledger control account. Cash purchases and cash sales do not come in the control account. Return inwards will go to the credit side of the sales ledger control account. Return outwards will go to the debit side of the purchases ledger control account. Cash paid to suppliers. Suppliers are the same as what? The producers or those who purchase, who we purchase from. So cash paid to suppliers will go to the debit side of the what? Creditors control account. Checks received from customers will go to the debit side of the sales ledger control account. Cash paid to suppliers will go to the debit side of the purchases ledger control account. Cash received from customers will also go to the credit side of the sales ledger control account. Discount received will go to the debit side of purchases ledger control account. Discount allowed will go to the credit side of the sales ledger control account. Bills payable will go to the debit side of the purchases ledger control account. Bills receivable will go to the credit side of the sales ledger control account. Bad debt written off will go to the credit side of the sales ledger control account, as well as customers checks dishonored will go to the debit side of sales ledger control account. We have debit balance transfer from the what? Debtors ledger to the creditors ledger, 950. It is a debit balance transferred from the debtors ledger, so it means it will be credited to the sales ledger control account and debited in the purchases ledger control account. So as shown here, the transfer from sales ledger 950 debited in the purchases ledger control account, and the transfer to the purchases ledger credited in the sales ledger control account. So that is how the transfer affects the both accounts. So you can see that, as I said, from the solution you have balance brought down, that's 950 on top, 950 debit balance. This one they told you, and a credit balance, so they told you purchases ledger control account. Then the sales ledger control account, we have only one balance, that's a debit balance. So here it is. So I think from our previous study we talked about all the items and where they will be moved to. So from this question you can clearly see